Greetings everyone, it's Blu-ray update time on the Multimedia Chronicles. This time around, I got a few more things for the comedy collection. Actually, a bunch that I've been wanting to pick up on Blu-ray for a while. And, well, finally pulled the trigger on them. So let's see what we got. Comedy! Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So first up, we got a double feature Blu-ray featuring, well, a pair of movies, the first of which kind of redefined comedy films in a lot of ways, and put its star on the map as a comedic actor, having mostly done serious roles in his career up until that point. What else could I be talking about? Except Airplane, yes. It was basically, you know, as spot on a parody as you could get of the various disaster movies that were all the rage back in the 70s and early 80s. This one, of course, being a very direct spoof of the airport films. But, so here we've got Airplane, the Don't Call Me Shirley edition, along with Airplane 2, the sequel. Everyone's favorite cash grab. So just take a quick closer look at the covers. Yeah, so I remember seeing Airplane when I was a kid and being, you know, thinking it was hilarious, but also, you know, the humor is quite raunchy at times. And there's a scene where there's just all hell breaking loose in the passenger cabin, and a naked lady goes by, and I was like, there was a naked lady. I was watching it with my parents, and my mom just burst out laughing because she thought it was hilarious. No, well, not just that there was a naked lady in it, but also my reaction. Anyway, take a look at the back here. Yeah, so it looks like the second one is just bare bones, but the first one has a few extras on it. We got commentary by producer John Davison with writers, directors Joe Abrahams, Jerry Zucker, and David Zucker. So the entire Zaz team, which is great. And we got the long haul version, which includes deleted scenes, interviews, and more. And a trivia track. Oh, and apparently it's not R-rated, it's PG. I keep forgetting how lenient 80s PG was. Like, it very much feels like an R-rated comedy. Like, you know, kind of raunchy. They got cuss words, they got nudity, they got shit hitting an actual fan, and sex jokes galore. I mean, we all remember how they had to reinflate Otto, the autopilot. Anyway, gotta love some Airplane. So, in addition to that, carrying on with more from Zaz, we picked up Police Squad, the original TV series. Now, I've had this on DVD for ages, but I wanted to upgrade to the Blu-ray. So, this, of course, is a parody of primarily 60s and 70s police shows, and it is spot on, but continues the same style of humor as the Airplane movies, that sort of deadpan style where the characters are in the middle of just this crazy situation but act like it's the most normal thing in the world. Yeah, I remember seeing an interview with Leslie Nielsen about Police Squad. Now, it only lasted 6 episodes and then it was canceled. And he said he felt the reason it didn't succeed as a TV show is because of the type of humor it is. If you were just listening, it would sound essentially like just a straight-up police procedural, because a lot of the humor in these types of movies is visual humor. You have to be paying attention, watching the screen, in order to get most of the jokes. Not all, there's a few verbal jokes, but the vast majority of them are visual. So, and he said the problem was the way people would watch TV, is they would just kind of half-watch, or, you know, the husband would be in the kitchen making dinner and the wife would be watching and say, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And she'd, like, you know, repeat a line to the husband. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. But they wouldn't really be fully watching. And as a result, people just didn't really get it, I guess. So it only lasted 6 episodes. But that said, it's 6 absolutely brilliant episodes. Really hilarious. And of course, was later the inspiration for the Naked Gun movies, which, if you've seen the show, actually the movies do crib a lot of jokes straight out of the show. I guess the thinking being at the time, well, nobody saw the show, so who's going to know? Anyway, this has been a long-time favorite of mine, and if you're a fan of the Naked Gun movies at all, I highly recommend checking out the original series. As I say, it's only 6 half-hour episodes. You can watch them all in one sitting, and essentially you've got a fourth Naked Gun movie. So let's take a quick look at the cover here. Police Squad in color. Yeah, there's so many like little gags here. If you're familiar with those old shows like a Quinn Martin production, you'll just howl through this whole thing, 'cause it's an absolutely spot-on parody of those types of shows. And if we take a look at the back, there you go. So you can see there's actually quite a lot of special features on here. Yeah, and I like, if you look at the episode titles there, I like how the narrated title never matched the on-screen title. So normally it would be the narrator reading the title on screen, but like even that was a joke. So you'd see the title on screen, say for example the first one is A Substantial Gift, but the narrator would say, today's episode, The Broken Promise, and so forth. You know, hilarious, right? Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny. And they do that in every episode. And I like how in the episode list they actually give you both titles. And look at all those commentary tracks. I don't think I've ever listened to those. I will have to listen to all of those because, you know, I love this show. And tons and tons of special features. So, yeah, a pretty loaded set for a show that only lasted 6 episodes. And there you go. So that is Police Squad in color. So, having got Police Squad, well, I of course had to get the Naked Gun trilogy. Yeah, I mean this needs no introduction. You all know the Naked Gun trilogy, and it has yeah. So we got 3 discs, and 2 of them are stacked there on a spindle. So we got 2 and 3 smushed together. Yeah, alright, whatever. That's okay. They're, at least Blu-rays don't scratch easily. So this is just a fairly straight up trilogy set. You know, they put out a lot of collections like that, especially of comedy franchises. Just a quick, cheap way to get all the movies in one go. So we'll take a quick peek at the cover here. Yeah, I remember the TV show has, of course, has the famous shot of the police car going through the city with the sirens blaring and such. But in the show, it runs fairly short. It's a fairly straightforward opening sequence. But I love how in the movies, they just keep it going for a ridiculous length of time. And the car just ends up driving through more and more ridiculous situations, like driving through a building and people are running out of the way, or like driving around in a pinball machine and stuff like that. It's just great, and they just make it more and more ridiculous with each subsequent movie. So then if we take a look on the back, doesn't really list much in the way of extras other than the first one, I guess. Yeah, we've got group commentary by David Zucker, Robert Weiss, and Peter Tilden. And I guess that's it. I don't know. There may be more extras on the disc. They just didn't have room to list on the back. But, oh well. It's mainly about the movies anyway, right?
By the way, I should mention I am aware of the recent 4K collection that came out, the Zaz collection. I didn't pick this up simply because it's only the first movies of Airplane and Police Squad, and then they threw in Top Secret as well. I kind of like to keep my movie series separate, you know. If it was just individual movies, I wouldn't care so much, but these are all, you know, well, except for Top Secret. Airplane and Naked Gun are the first of a series. Well, Airplane being a series of 2, Naked Gun being a series of 3, but you know what I mean. I like to keep everything together. So if they come out with like some kind of separate 4K collection, I'll likely upgrade if the transfers are good. But for now, I really just wanted to see the movies again, and the Blu-ray sets were fairly cheap. So I thought, yeah, that's a good way to go for now. If they put out a standalone of Top Secret, I would definitely grab that because I haven't seen that movie in ages.
And there you go. So that is, of course, the Naked Gun trilogy from the files of Police Squad in color. Alright, next up, a trilogy of films, of which I have seen the first two, and still need to see the third one, so I'm glad I picked up the trilogy. We have the Crocodile Dundee trilogy. Yeah, so I saw the first one on VHS. I remember when it came out, it just was the biggest hit in the universe. Like, everybody loved this movie and just was totally enamored with Paul Hogan and his Mick Dundee character. Paul Hogan had actually had quite a successful comedy career in Australia up to that point. He had done a lot of, variety comedy television and all kinds of stuff. He was already a big star. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy how massive this movie was. So I picked up the VHS release of it, and I guess I was staying with my grandparents that time. I would go out and visit my grandparents every summer out in British Columbia. I was living in Toronto at the time with my parents. And we had this tradition where I would go out and spend the summer with my grandparents. And I did that up until I was a teenager. And so my granddad was very much an outdoorsy type and such. So I hadn't seen the movie yet, but I had a feeling he might enjoy it from what I had heard about it. So I was collecting VHS tapes at the time, so I bought it, and we watched it, and he just howled. He absolutely loved it and had a great time. So that's definitely a memory I will always cherish, is watching the original Crocodile Dundee with my granddad. And then a couple years later, the sequel came out, and by then I was, starting to go see movies with my friends and such, so we went to see that one in the theater when it came out. And I always liked how the first two movies kind of parallel each other in a way, like mirror each other, where the first one starts off in Australia and then ends in New York, and then the second one starts in New York and then ends in Australia. So they kind of provided a nice bookend for each other. And I honestly think the second one is darn close to being as good as the first one, and they're both really fun. Now, I've not seen the third one where he goes to L.A. I've heard it's terrible. I mean, it was, 2002, I think? 2001, yeah. So, I mean, darn near, 15 years after the first one? So, yeah, it had been quite a while, and I don't know. I mean, there had been talk of doing a third one for a long time, but I felt like there just wasn't any interest in that, like from Paul Hogan or the studio or anybody really. And then just suddenly out of nowhere they did this third one. And I was like, okay, I guess there's a third Crocodile Dundee movie now. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check it out at some time, and maybe I'll let you guys know what I think. But I love the first two. So anyway, let's just take a quick peek at the packaging here. So this here is basically the front cover of the original movie, where it was just him parting the buildings of New York like tall grass in the outback. Just a wonderful image there. I've always loved that painted cover. It's kind of a shame we have the banner of the titles like right across the middle of it, but that's okay. I mean, that's just kind of the way these trilogy sets go, or these collections, is you get minimal artwork that just kind of is meant to be all-encompassing. So if we flip it around to the back, we can see what kind of extras we've got there. So this set actually seems to be pretty loaded. No, it's not actually. I thought it was loaded, but I realized all the things they listed as special features are just the features, like 1080p, 5.1 DTS HD master audio. Okay, so what do we got here? We got... we have the trailer for the first one. Woohoo! For the second one, we have a behind-the-scenes featurette. Hey, we got some behind-the-scenes. And the trailer. Okay. The third one. Well, the third one came out in 2001, right at the peak of DVD. They got to have tons of special features, right? We got a making-of feature and the theatrical trailer. And that's it. I strongly suspect those making-of features are probably like 5-minute-long fluff pieces, too. And I guess we'll just take a quick peek and see how the discs are configured in here. We got digital copies, so we got, yeah, that's what I figured. We got the first one, and just like the Naked Gun, we got the other two on a spindle, so, yeah. At least Blu-rays don't scratch easily, so that's not too bad, but, it could be worse. It could also be better. So anyway, That's the Crocodile Dundee trilogy. Last, but most certainly not least, a long-time favorite of mine, which I was delighted to see got a 4K release. I actually showed this to Rose fairly recently, and we had a good time with it. We have what was actually my introduction to Val Kilmer, Real Genius. Yes, this was also the first sort of college humor movie I ever saw. So it was a few firsts for me. It has, what's his face, the actor who played Walter Peck in Ghostbusters in it as the, you know, sort of sleazy Dean character and his sort of primary nemesis, as it were. I've always loved this movie. It's so much fun, and the humor is great. And it's also just, it's like a college humor movie for nerds, where everybody's, you know, neurospicy to some extent, and it's all very quirky and chaotic and nerdy. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it, but always been a favorite of mine. You got the actor who played Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite as a weird guy who lives in the closet of one of the characters, and Val Kilmer is absolutely hilarious in this. Now, he's always been seen as an actor who could be something of a chameleon. He could just disappear into any role. It's very true. Like, if you've seen him, I remember him as the Saint. That's a good example of his talent, actually, because that is a character who was a master of disguise and wouldn't just wear different costumes, but take on completely different personas to, you know, infiltrate different things. But just an amazing showcase for his talent. We, of course, all remember him as Batman, where I thought he was a terrific Bruce Wayne. Not a bad Batman, but, I mean, we've talked about Batman Forever before. But when I heard that he was taking over from Michael Keaton, I thought he was actually a really good choice. I just wish he'd got a better movie to really showcase what he could have done with the role. And, of course, as Doc Holliday in Tombstone, holy crap, that is a movie I need to get into the collection. I haven't seen that in so long, but I've you know, watched the clips of some of his key scenes so many times. I actually saw Tombstone in the theater, actually. It was a great, great film. So it's kind of bittersweet in a way, because at the time of this recording, we just got the news earlier today that Val passed away at the far too young age of 65. Man, but I gotta say, what a legacy he left for us of just so many wonderful performances. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I get a little choked up here, honestly, because he was always, you know, one of the special ones for me, because he was very much of my era. Growing up, and also as I grew up, you know, that was parallel to his career. And this movie in particular was always special to me, because, you know, it was a first for me in a lot of ways, because I'd seen, you know, in 1985 when it came out, I was still very much in, like, sci-fi mode and stuff like that, and I didn't really, I wasn't really a very, I don't know, partying teenager, you know. Some of my friends were, but I didn't really date or party or anything in that. So I didn't really watch a lot of the sort of college comedies and high school, raunchy high school comedies. Like, I didn't see Fast Times at Ridgemont High until I was, you know, in my 40s. I didn't see Animal House probably also till I was in my 30s or 40s. And just all these big notable ones that were very much of my era, but I just kind of passed them by because I just wasn't interested in those types of films. But there was something about Real Genius that just kind of struck a chord with me, and I thought it was hilarious. I saw it in theaters when it originally came out, and it was so not my usual thing. But I guess because it was about, you know, a college of nerds and geniuses and stuff, the humor was of a different type than you would typically see in a college humor kind of movie, you know what I mean? Like, it still had the raunchiness and everything, and I think it is, no, it's PG, but again, 80s PG. So there's a lot more raunchiness than you would see in a PG movie nowadays, but it might be more like a PG-13, even like a soft R. But yeah, I love this movie, and you know, I'm definitely going to miss Val, and I think I speak for a lot of people on that, because he was definitely a special one. So let's take a quick peek at the 4K here. I thought it looked great, personally. We watched it on our 4K TV and everything, and you know, I thought it was a pretty decent transfer. It was like seeing it in the theater again, you know, but this time I got to share it with my daughter, who you know, really enjoyed the humor and the quirkiness of the characters, for sure. So, you know, very simple painted cover here. We got we got Val as Chris Knight with Einstein, and they have T-shirts of each. Well, I guess sweatshirts of each other, which is kind of fun. And then if we flip it around to the back, yeah, we've actually got a nice little selection of extras here. We got balloon chair deleted scene and some raw takes. We actually have the TV version, so you can see how they censored it for TV, which is great. And commentary with the director, Martha Coolidge. So there you go. Pretty cool. So then if we take a little look inside, we'll see how... Okay, we just got our digital copy. So this actually does come with both the 4K and the Blu-ray. So, very nice. So I guess, I think all the extras are on the Blu-ray. Yeah, the extras are on the Blu-ray. So I'm guessing this is probably just a repackage of like an old Blu-ray. And, yeah, okay, Sony. That explains it. Yeah, Sony likes to do nice transfers for their high-def titles because, of course, they were one of the big companies that standardized the high-def formats that we enjoy today. So, of course, they want to have them look as good as they can, right? So let's just pull all these up for one final look. So let's see, we'll do it like this. So we'll have the Zaz collection on the bottom here. We got Airplane and Airplane 2. We got Police Squad, and then from the files of Police Squad, the Naked Gun trilogy. Then we got the Crocodile Dundee trilogy, and my all-time favorite college comedy, Real Genius. So pretty good selection of stuff there. Definitely you know, a nice mix of old favorites and a couple of new ones I haven't seen. I've seen most of these. I guess I haven't seen Airplane 2 in a million years, so that's going to be somewhat new to me again. Haven't seen the third Crocodile Dundee. I don't even remember the other two Naked Guns, but I've seen the first one a million times. Anyway, sounds like Rose is back from her shopping trip, so I will bid you adieu for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Until then, sayonara.